Thank you very much, Lorraine, for your very kind introduction, and thank you, Oleg Formachev, for the very hard work you have done. And I know it's not so easy to pull together a group like this, but you and Lorraine working together have done a terrific job in coordinating this. I will introduce my colleague and co-chair, the Deputy Prime Minister, in a couple of minutes. But let me just give a little bit of a rundown of where I think we are and why this meeting is so important. I'd like to thank, first of all, Microsoft, and specifically Daniel Lewin and Dorothy Dwoskin for hosting this meeting in these terrific, these rooms with all these very innovative things that I hope you've had a chance to experiment with, because Microsoft has great innovation and all these things are around for you to play with, not take home, but play with. I just want to also say that I'm very grateful to all the Russians who've come here. It's a very long way, and we deeply appreciate the fact that you've come. Many of you have very busy jobs at home, and on the American side, the same. Thank you very much. And of course, I'd like to thank all of the working group members who are attending today and have presented or will present a bit later. Both the U.S. and Russia have a long and proud history of invention and innovation and collaboration. Our two countries train some of the world's best scientists and best engineers, and this has really been true for many, many decades. Every time I go to Russia, I see the enormous innovative capabilities of the Russian people, and of course, throughout our own country, we have enormous innovative capabilities as well, and that's, I think, one of the things we share. We have world-class scientists, world-class engineers in both Russia and the U.S. And we're also home to some of the most innovative businesses in both of our countries. And one fact that I think is useful to bear in mind is that Bloomberg Businessweek recently released a list of the 50 most innovative countries in the world. And I was very impressed, although not surprised, at how quickly Russia has advanced in those rankings. Russia has positioned itself to seize upon fast-growing global innovative sectors such as aerospace and information technology and communications technology, where it has recorded many important advances. We strongly support Russia's efforts to create an innovative economy, because bringing new technologies to market is good, not just for Russia. It is also beneficial to the world, to the U.S. economy, and to society as well, because many of the innovations that come from our scientists here and Russian scientists as well can benefit our own countries and the world more broadly. We have felt for a long time, and we confirmed in a conversation we had just a few minutes ago, that the U.S.-Russia Innovation Working Group is able to embody and has the potential to further embody the very best innovative skills of Russians and Americans working together. Members of the U.S.-Russia Innovation Working Group have been working on an exciting array of initiatives to support innovation and commercialization of that innovation. And I'd like to very briefly highlight three key areas of cooperation. First, the working group has helped advance a series of regional partnerships. And I'm delighted that Deputy Governor Ivanov has joined today's meeting to present on the cooperation plan between Nizhny Novgorod Oblast and the state of Maryland. And I'm particularly pleased at this, since I come from Maryland, so this gives me a particular interest in this, and I've been to Nizhny too, so this is a very good match. So congratulations, thank you very much. I'm sure that they're both very innovative. Nizhny is a very innovative oblast, Maryland's a very innovative state, so I'm sure this will be a great partnership. Our goal is to spur future regional partnerships, and in particular to broaden cooperation to include other regional clusters and other industries. And we both agreed that this was something that could be very productive. Russia is a big country, America is a big country. There's a lot of innovative potential throughout both of our countries, and we think hooking them up together would be an enormous plus for the regions and for our countries as a whole. The United States is home to a large number of not as well known innovation clusters. People know the sort of biotech beltway around Washington. People know about the clusters in North Carolina and, so of course, Silicon Valley, Route 128. But there are a lot of other clusters that, in a lot of other states that we think can play a very active role. For example, Oklahoma, Florida, and Mississippi, Minnesota, and Utah are home to a booming information technology sector or set of sectors in those places. And Arizona is making enormous strides in nanotechnology. So we're hoping that the working group will consider these clusters for future collaboration. We've got a number of ideas to develop that. The second major area of discussion today was on the commercialization of innovative technologies. And this is something that's very important to both sides. Working group members provided an update on their ongoing programs, including the American Council's Enhancing University Research and Enterprise Entrepreneurial Capacity, or what's known as Eureka program, which is going to embody a lot of collaboration on research. The partnership between the U.S. and Russian research universities is aimed at building the innovative ecosystems that are needed to expand entrepreneurial and technology transfer capabilities. And this is a very important area. In addition to the Eureka program update, there is CRDF, which is CRDF Global and National Business Incubators Association, which spoke about the efforts and ideas on promoting innovation in the United States and Russia. And finally, the working group has helped better delineate the government's role in innovation. My good friend for many, many decades, Alan Wolf, who's one of the foremost experts on competitive and comparative innovation policy, shared his thoughts on the U.S. experience and the role of our government. And as I mentioned earlier, the United States is an innovative nation, but we've learned a lot of lessons the hard way. Innovation is not something that comes necessarily easily and involves a lot of risk. And there's a wonderful story that I like to tell about Thomas Edison that really embodies this notion of innovation, but the fact that risk goes along with it. And innovation, as you know, was really one of the key elements in Edison's approach. And he was trying for years and years to develop an incandescent light bulb. And he tried 60 or 70 times, and then he gave a press conference, and the press conference says, someone asked him, well, how does it feel to be a failure, Mr. Edison? Because he'd had other successes before. He said, well, what's the failure? He said, well, you've tried 70 times to create an incandescent light bulb, failed each time, so you've had 70 failures. So Edison said, well, those are not failures. We've learned 70 different ways not to make a light bulb. So I think this illustrates the point about taking risk, and risk is a key element in innovation. So we think that some of the lessons we've learned can be very useful to Russia. As Lorraine said, tomorrow many of you will visit the National Institutes of Health, where you'll see firsthand an example of the government's role in biotech innovation. And you will also meet with officials from our Small Business Administration and learn about their Small Business Innovation Research Program. This program helps businesses by providing funds for the critical startup and development stages of technology commercialization. Also, one of the points that will be discussed is the kinds of things that governments can do to promote innovation. One of them is to establish a legal and regulatory framework that is conducive to entrepreneurial thinking and bringing new ideas to market. And this is very important in terms of taking innovation and moving it into the market. You also heard today recommendations by an expert group of U.S. and Russian lawyers for both of our governments and I think some private sector lawyers as well. And I've seen the policy recommendations, look forward to a readout on the discussions you've had. So I would like to thank all of you who contributed to this report and the recommendations in it. So from our point of view, the United States is and will remain an innovation economy. And that's why our government takes these recommendations seriously, and some of them suggest things that we as a government can do. And the Russian government has also placed a very high priority on implementing policies that foster and facilitate innovation. And the Bloomberg statistics I quoted earlier are testament to that fact. So now it's my great privilege to introduce my colleague and co-chair of the U.S.-Russia Innovation Working Group, the Deputy Prime Minister of the Russian Federation and Government Chief of Staff, Vladislav Surkov, who will speak on the Russian perspective. Deputy Prime Minister Surkov has been a prominent voice in the promotion of innovation in Russia and a strong supporter of our bilateral innovation agenda. So, Vladislav Yurievich, it is now my pleasure to turn the microphone over to you. I greatly value our partnership, and I greatly value our friendship, and I'm very honored, and we're all very honored that you're here today.
Спасибо.
Thank you, Mr. Hormats. Good afternoon to everyone. And just today, I came back from Boston, where we met with the representatives of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and what I'd like to say with great satisfaction that we were able to discuss the results of our joint work of something that's something completely new for Russia, the creation of a Skoltech university. This university is under the auspices of Skolkovo, and Mr. Vokselberg, who was also there, was able to take part in the discussions. So I'm still under the impression of these discussions, and we are now completed phase number 1, and the university is working very successfully. The first group is working not only on the development of creation of the university, they're just now working. So I'd like to thank everybody who participated in the creation of this university. And I wanted to just start the discussions with this, because this is a good example of our cooperation, and this is a concrete and specific example of the application programs of the programs of our cooperation. So we were, and this could be a good example for working not only with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, but with other universities. And this is how we can bring together scientists and engineers from both countries. And I think that this is again a good example, and we're not disappointed with each other. This we are encouraged, and this particular project and this particular program showed how challenging this program was, but it also shows how successful we are when we work together. And although we all work, very happy to work in the working groups, and we all talk, but what is more important is that we're able to show something concrete, something specific. And this particular project, the MIT project, is a good example with this. Mr. Hormats and myself worked to get met in Moscow, and this is exactly what we talked about, that under the auspices of this working group, it's important for us to work on the implementation of big, challenging projects, and this would be good both for Russia, it would be also good for the United States. And let's not discuss theories, let's not discuss concepts, let's work on something specific. It will encourage future work. It will encourage not only the implementation of specific projects, it will also show how we can improve and change our legislation to help us work on the project. There's one more thing that I would like to say. This is not exactly has to do with the agenda of our working group, but what was important for us to Boston is that we were in Boston in a very difficult period. For Boston, we expressed our condolences, but what is more important, that we visited the police department of the MIT. We talked to the people, and please accept our condolences, and also we want to express our solidarity that because we in Russia, maybe like no other country, know what is terrorism, we know the scale of such horrible events, and we are with you, our friends. But now coming back to the agenda of our meeting, what I would like to say, and Mr. Hormats, I just discussed some of the ideas. It's very hard to speak after him because he already said, he sort of took the thunder from my speech. He talked about all of the interesting things. So what is left for me, that we are the first to support all our project, and I'm also happy that we are now ranked in the first 10 of the most innovative countries. And what I'm hoping here for is that we will be working together. Our joint work will be more successful. And what is important, that our contribution, the contribution of our working group, is going to be very important. Now, specifically with relation to our work and the work of the U.S.-Russia Business Council, I think that they're very successful. But of course, we would like for this group to work even more intensely with our businesses. And here it's probably very appropriate to thank Microsoft, not only for hosting us here, but also for working in Russia, to working with us, and we are very happy that you opened your office in Moscow. And I think that in the near future we will see IBM, other companies, Honeywell, in Russia, in other regions of Russia, not just in Skolkovo. We heard very good proposals from them, good ideas, and so we're talking about something very concrete and specific. And I also would like to cite and commend such Russian companies, companies who are very successful. Some of them are now selling their stocks on NASDAQ, so this is a good example of their successful work, and we're hoping that there would be more companies that will be just as successful. I mentioned Skoltech before. I would like that not only Skoltech would be cited in Bloomberg, but other universities, other companies, and I am sure that our rating will advance even how we heard from our president, who encourages us to work even more energetically with the better results. And we are hoping that in that our universities will be working with the U.S. universities to implement all of these ideas and to put them into to bring them into reality. We talked about the creation of a consortium in the Far East, and this is going to be a great example of our future work, and it will be a good reminder of us being actually neighbors. We don't even realize how close we are if we take with the west coast of the United States and our Far East. So for us to develop these two regions of our countries, it would be very important to work together in the Far East for us, on the west coast of the United States. We need to stimulate their work. And I would like to emphasize yet again the interregional cooperation. Mr. Horowitz already talked about this. So let's not work only with Moscow and some of the major centers. It's important for us to work on other regions. Here today in this room, we have representatives from other regions, from Tatarstan, Bashkirstan, Nizhny Novgorod. So there are people from Samara. So it is important for these people to be present at this meeting, because we will be able to work horizontally on different levels without the participation of the federal government in every single project. And I know that the United States and the government of the United States is supporting that idea that we should encourage more interregional cooperation, more work between the regions, independent projects, and we're hoping that this cooperation will broaden, and we even now have good examples of our cooperation. The relationship between some companies, universities is good. The trade is expanding, so it's not everything is not so bad as sometimes the mass media is trying to present. So we're very hopeful about our future. So now a little bit about some of the specifics, and here. In addition to all of the priority areas that were mentioned before, I think that we should emphasize the interest of the Russian Federation on the creation of some experimental, innovative centers, so-called engineering centers. We think that there's still a deficit, a shortage of such centers. We think that we have created some basic elements of major industries. But what is more important is to move ahead to enter the new stage, to create prototypes and to work on some bigger projects. And here we again will be relying on our cooperation between the universities of our countries. So we are ready to support them, to even finance some of the project. Yesterday, for example, we visited a center that could be a good example for our future work. And with that, let me wrap up. I know that we have some work to do. Some of it is very interesting. Some of it is very pleasant, such as signing of our memoranda. But let me again express my gratitude to our U.S. partners, to our work, to this topic in general. I would like to thank everybody who is working on something very concrete, very specific, so who is making their contribution into not only cooperation between our countries, but also the improvement of the relationship between our countries. And I would like to quote one of the U.S. presidents who said that Russia in the 21st century will be our major partner, and that Russia is very hopeful that it'll be working with our partners, with international partners, and I'm sure that we will be successful, but we will be successful when we work together with international partners, especially with the United States. So, yet again, I would like to thank everybody.
Thank you. What we're going to do next is we actually have 4 MOU signings and another 9 deliverables. So we hope we can show that there's some real positive, tangible outcomes of this working group. And so I'm going to go up to the stage right now with Oleg, and we're going to start the announcements of the MOU. The first signing is Cisco will be relocating their Moscow facility to Skolkovo Innovation Center's facilities, and are being developed, and the move is expected to be in 2016. And Cisco is the first multinational corporation signing a memorandum on Skolkovo's relocation. So I'd like to invite up to the signing Michael Timoney, who is the head of government relations for Cisco, and Victor Vixelberg, who is the chairman of Skolkovo, to do that signing. So now I'd like to announce another Cisco-Skolkovo partnership, and Cisco and Skolkovo will announce their cooperation in inaugurating the Government Leadership Program, a comprehensive skills development program for key technology leaders that work in government, science, and the private sector. The program is a partnership between Cisco, Skoltech, the Russian government, Agency of Strategic Initiatives, and the Ministry of Economic Development. So I'd like to ask Cisco's Director of Government Affairs, Mikhail Pakhomov, and the Vice President of Institutional Development of Skolkovo, Alexei Sitnikov, to the stage to do the signing. The State of Maryland's Department of Business and Economic Development and the Maryland Center will sign a memorandum of understanding with the biotechnological cluster of Pushino, agreeing to cooperate on research and development and commercialization in the field of biotechnologies. So I'd like to ask the chair of the Maryland Economic Development Commission, Steve Dubin, and the director of the biopharma cluster at Pushino, Elena Rumansova, sorry. Thank you. To come up for the signing. The University of Wisconsin Northern Biopharmaceutical Cluster Development Center and the Moscow Institute for Physics and Technology announces a partnership. Excuse me, I'm going to start all over again. The Wisconsin Technology Innovation Initiative of the University of Wisconsin at Madison is signing an MOU with the Northern Biopharmaceutical Cluster Development Center of the Moscow Institute for Physics and Technology to develop cooperation on developing innovation therapeutics aimed at improving human and animal health. This MOU is under the Wisconsin Technology Innovation Initiative and is a novel and unique nonprofit organization dedicated to the facilitation of the transfer of first-class technology for applications use. And I'd like to introduce Richard Moss from the University of Wisconsin and Oliv Korzinov, who's the Executive Director of the Northern Biopharmaceutical Cluster of Development Center, to come to the stage.